You think you know ginger, right? That little kick in your stir fry, maybe some tea when you're feeling under the weather. But what if I told you it's also a serious subject of scientific study, being used right now as a powerful medicinal tool? Yeah, we're going to forget the kitchen for a minute and take this stuff straight into the lab.
And look, this isn't some old folk remedy we're talking about. I mean, check this out. It's 2026, and you've got elite athletes in the Premier League. These guys are turning to ginger as a strategic weapon for their recovery. It's all about managing that brutal muscle soreness and inflammation you get from playing at the absolute peak of human performance.
So, what is it? What's the secret sauce inside this root that you can just pick up at the grocery store? How is it so powerful? Well, to figure that out, we've got to dive into the science. Okay, so first things first, let's get some perspective. Using ginger as medicine is not a new trend, not at all. We're talking about a cornerstone of both Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, with a paper trail going back more than 2,500 years. Yeah, that long. So the part of the ginger plant we actually use, it's called the rhizome. Now, I know it looks like a root, but it's technically an underground stem. And this right here is where all the action is. Think of it like the plant's engine room, its power pack. It's the factory where all those amazing bioactive compounds we want are cooked up and stored. Okay, you ready? Let's zoom way, way in. We're going down to the molecular level now to meet the all-star team of chemicals that make ginger this absolute powerhouse. Now, this is something most people have no idea about, and it's absolutely crucial. See, fresh ginger, it's loaded with these things called gingerols. But here's the crazy part. When you heat it or dry it out, those gingerols actually transform into new compounds called sugaals. And get this, the sugaals can be even more potent. So yeah, how you prepare your ginger can literally supercharge its power. And we're not just talking about one or two active ingredients here. It is a whole chemical arsenal. You've got your star players, the gingerols and shogols, doing the heavy lifting against inflammation. But then you've got the rest of the team, the sesquiterpenes fighting off microbes, and even flavonoids like quercetin that help tune up your immune system. It's this complex crew, all working together. Okay, so we know it's packed with all this good stuff. But how does it actually work once it's inside your body? What's the mechanism? This is probably the coolest part. You know ibuprofen, right? Well, ginger's compounds, especially gingerol, they go after the exact same inflammatory pathways, these enzymes called COX and LOX, that ibuprofen targets to stop pain and swelling. But here's the game changer. It does it without tearing up your stomach lining, which, as you know, can be a huge problem if you take NSAIDs long term. All right, the chemistry is super impressive, for sure. But does it actually work in the real world, like in actual human studies? Let's zoom back out and see how all this science translates to actual health benefits. The number one most proven benefit for ginger, no question, it's calming nausea. The evidence is just rock solid. It's got a fantastic track record for helping with morning sickness during pregnancy, and it's also really popular for helping patients who are dealing with that awful nausea after an operation. And the science is getting super specific now. When it comes to something like indigestion, the fancy term is dyspepsia, recent research points to a very specific dose. We're talking about 2,000 milligrams a day to really help get your digestion moving and protect your gut. Okay, if there's one slide you might want to screenshot, it's this one. This is the practical rubber meets the road stuff. It's a scoreboard of the dosages they've used in clinical trials for all kinds of things. You can see the numbers for osteoarthritis pain, for menstrual cramps, even for helping with blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. This shows you the exact range where scientists have seen it make a real difference. Okay, but we have to talk about the other side of this. And this is really, really important. Just because something is natural does not mean it's risk-free. It's absolutely critical we get this right. So let's talk seriously about safety. Now, for most people, any side effects are pretty mild, and they usually only pop up if you're taking really high doses in supplements. You know, things like a bit of heartburn, maybe some stomach upset. They're real, but not usually a big deal. Okay, listen up because this is the big one. This is the single most important safety warning. Ginger can act like a blood thinner. I'll say that again. It can thin your blood, and that is a huge deal if you have any kind of bleeding disorder or, crucially, if you're about to have surgery. And this is really interesting, especially right now. Everybody's heard of turmeric, right? Ginger's famous cousin. Well, turmeric has actually been getting some heat recently because of some rare but serious cases of liver damage. Ginger, on the other hand,
It's generally considered not just safe for the liver, but maybe even protective. So for long-term use, it might just be the safer bet.
And because of that blood thinning effect and its impact on blood sugar, ginger can have some really serious interactions with common prescription drugs. If you're on a blood thinner like warfarin, adding ginger could be dangerous. If you're on diabetes meds, it could make your blood sugar drop too low. This part is not up for debate. If you take any of these, you have to talk to your doctor. Period. So, here's the bottom line. A simple checklist. If you have a bleeding disorder, if you're pregnant, if you have surgery coming up, and you got to stop taking it 2 weeks before, or if you're on any of those meds we just saw, you just have to talk to your doctor. It's that simple.
So, with all this history, all this science, where do we go from here? What's next for ginger? Because believe me, this story is far from over. The research is getting really exciting. We're talking about scientists looking into its potential role in oncology, how it might be able to protect our brains from damage. And yeah, circling right back to the beginning, figuring out the absolute best way for athletes to use it for top-tier recovery. So there you have it. Ginger is so much more than a spice, right? It's a seriously complex natural medicine with some incredible benefits and some very real risks you have to respect. So the final question isn't, does ginger work? We know it does. The real question is it the right tool for you?